Fox 10 Gulfstream. This is Next Weather.
All right, thanks for joining us here for Next Weather. Before we get into some of the stories of the day, I want to tell you about this potential tropical system that is going on down in the southwestern Gulf of Mexico. And so the National Hurricane Center is calling this potential tropical cyclone number 1, which means the potential is there for it to become an organized tropical storm. And they want to go ahead and put up a track and issue some advisories for Mexico for the possibility of tropical storm conditions. So this is the way things are handled now. When you think there's going to be a depression or a storm, and the models are suggesting it, all signs show that the organization is almost there. The National Hurricane Center will go ahead and start initiating advisories. And so we have winds at 40 and the pressure is 101, but we don't have the well-defined center. So this is not a tropical storm yet. It is potential tropical cyclone number 1. The motion right now is to the north-northwest at about 7. It will veer westward. That's what the models are suggesting, and head towards Mexico midweek. We've got it by late Wednesday night coming ashore based on the current guidance here, possibly as a tropical storm. And because of the difference in pressure between this and our area, we're seeing a very high risk of rip currents at our area beaches. Now, what is going on that is creating this particular thing, this potential tropical cyclone? Well, it's called the Central American Gyre. It's a low pressure area over Central America, usually centered up somewhere around Honduras and a little to the south as you get down towards Costa Rica. And this is nothing new. This happens all the time. It is very common in May and June, and then again late in the season into September and October. And it can produce a lot of heavy rain over Central America. But on the outer edge of it, it can spin off little vortices that can create tropical systems. And what's interesting is the one that's out there right now, potential tropical cyclone number 1, will move into Mexico, but another one may spin off this thing next week, and we'll have to watch it. The track may be a little different there. We'll see how it all plays out, but that's the problem, that Central American gyre. All right. So that gives you a good idea of what's happening. We've talked about rip currents too, and it's not going to be the best week at the beach. Life-threatening rip currents will be possible every day. Meteorologist Matt Barentine explains on what to look out for.
Well, as Jason's been talking about, we've been tracking some tropical issues in the Gulf of Mexico. And the Gulf of Mexico is like a big bathtub. Whenever you have something even far away in the Gulf of Mexico, it shakes up the whole basin, and we start getting this high rip current risks all the way into our area, even when we're not dealing directly with a tropical system. And this is going to be for us all week long, where the surf is going to be dangerous, and we're going to see rip currents and likely red flags flying at all our local beaches through much of this upcoming week. Now, what do you do? How do you spot these things? Well, here's what you look for. You look for where the waves actually aren't breaking, and that can be confusing. A lot of times you think, well, that's where the calm water is. No, that's where the water is ripping back out to sea. The water is darker, and you may sometimes see debris or foam moving away from shore in one of those rip currents. And this is one of the best pictures we've ever gotten in of rip currents. This was on Pensacola Beach, I believe, last summer, and you could see multiple rip currents, these dark areas right here, all up and down the beach. And look how many there were on this day, and think about how dangerous of a day this would have been to be in the water. Rip currents are the deadliest thing we experience in our area, far more dangerous than sharks out there in the water. So please take these seriously, keep an eye on those beach flags, and stay safe. In Mobile, Matt Barentine, Fox 10 News.
Well, we've continued to keep an eye on tropical cyclone or potential tropical cyclone number 1, but what about the areas closer to Texas? Meteorologist Jennifer Lambers talks about rainfall from a system, or at least a portion of this system on the northern edge of it, as it heads towards Texas. Jennifer?
Well, as Jason's been talking about potential tropical cyclone number 1, I really wanted to focus on the rainfall amounts that are expected from the system, especially closer towards Texas. Now, the WPC, the Weather Prediction Center, has excessive rainfall outlooks. And beginning tomorrow, they already have much of the Texas coastline on the Gulf Coast outlined in higher chances to see some of that flash flooding. Now, some of this even extends into Louisiana. And then on the day 3 outlook, that threat only continues. So continuing that moderate flash flood risk for an additional 24 hours past that. And it even includes areas further towards central Texas. So a big area of the state outlined in this, and some of that still included closer towards the Louisiana coastline. Now, taking a look at what that rainfall estimate looks like, by the time we get closer towards the end of the week, once you get into that bright yellow coloration, that is showing possibly over 12 inches of rainfall. So if you know anyone that lives near the Houston, Texas area, even extending down closer towards Corpus Christi, just make sure that you're checking in on them and that they're staying updated with the forecast, especially with how much rain this system is expected to bring in, regardless of what we see with development. As always, we'll continue to monitor this and keep you updated right here on Fox 10, and also additional updates on Next Weather.
All right, here's your 7-day forecast. While the tropics are getting more active, we have just scattered showers and thunderstorms locally, and that'll be the case through Friday. A little better chance of rain this weekend. The heat will be constant, maybe a little more intense by the weekend. Thanks for joining us here for your 7-day forecast and all of these stories on Next Weather.